One of my favorite thought exercises is our 100 chart thought exercise. In this thought exercise, we work with students to give them a series of prompts that build on one another, and they work in kind of two segments of this thought exercise. The first being with a partnership, and the second being in a whole group conversation where they kind of reach clarity. So the thought exercise uses this 100 chart. You'll notice our 100 chart structure is a little bit different than perhaps some 100 charts might be that you've seen, and that's on purpose. So we have inverted our 100 chart to behave in the way that numbers are, which is that they get higher, which means they get larger. So we start here at the bottom with 1, and as we go up, we get all the way to 100 over here. This still has that structure of 10 built into it. So if I'm at 9, for example, and I go up a row, I've actually gone up 10. So 9 gaining 10 gives me 19. And so it has this structure that allows us to really think about the structure of 10 in a powerful way. So I have printed out these kind of 100 charts and laminated them. I have several of these that are just like my classroom ones that I use with my kids, and I've use those as the partnership 100 charts. Then I also have a large 100 chart. It looks like this. It's very big. It has the grommets over in the corners, and I'm able to use that to hang this one up in the classroom. And then this will be the one that we gather around as a group, and we're thinking through the prompts together. In this thought exercise, the way it works is that we have a series of prompts that builds on each other, and I read each prompt 3 times. When I'm starting this thought exercise for the very first time with a group of learners, I begin by having a whole group conversation where we gather around the large 100 chart and we just make observations. What do we notice about this 100 chart? And they'll notice the inversion too. They'll see that numbers get higher. As numbers get larger, they get higher, and they'll see the structure of 10, and we discuss that together. And then I give them a couple sample prompts. So I might say to them, let's begin together by finding 2 2s. And what often will happen with a prompt like that is a learner might point to 22. And this is a great opportunity to have a conversation. And so right there, we'll talk about, well, is 22 actually 2 2s? I see 2 numerals that are 2s, but I actually have, what does that mean? When I point to this number 2, what actually is that number? We have 2 10s. So we have 2 10s and we have 2 1s. So we have 20 and 2, not 2 2s. And so then I might ask the question, well, what's 1 2? And so we'll see, oh, here's 1 2. So then 2 2s, I get another 2. I'm at 4. So I'm going to read that prompt aloud. We're in whole group. We're gathered around the large 100 chart together, and I'm just giving them these prompts. I'm letting students come forward, share their thoughts, share their thinking, and then I'm checking in with the group, checking for to see if the group is listening, ask for confirmation. Do we agree? Do we disagree? Do we have any questions? Again, trying to cultivate this community of learning. It's not just me, the teacher, whose voice is present, but I'm really trying to get more voices involved in that conversation from the very beginning. So from there, then I might say, okay, so we're here at 4, and now let's increase by 12. So how could we utilize the structure of the chart to increase by 12? Now, what you might see is learners just count by ones. They're going to count ones until they've increased 12. And then after that, I check for confirmation. And then I might ask for another learner to share, is there another way that they thought of it? Perhaps they'll see that the structure of 10 is in this chart. If I go up 10, I've increased 10 and I still need to increase 2 more. And so they'll move to that 16 utilizing that structure. In that moment, I'm really trying to lift that up. Oh, did you notice that? I'm checking for confirmation. I'm really allowing that child's idea, that their voice, to be the one that we're considering. Oh, I really noticed this learner who utilized that structure. Did we see how they did that? That was really efficient. Then I might ask them something like, well, what if I lose 8? So here we are at 16, and I'm asking them to lose 8. And again, we're discussing together as a whole group, and a learner might choose to go back just by counting the singles. I might have a learner who decides to lose 6 and then 2 more. I might have a learner who's then able to say, well, if I go down 10, and then I didn't want to lose 10, so I need to go back up 2 more. And again, being able to talk about all of those moves. Those are all equivalent. Those are all mathematically accurate. And how can we use this chart to do that work? So again, just 3 quick prompts to get them comfortable with the structure of the chart and starting to get the conversation moving. And then at that point, after we've had that whole group conversation, I'm moving them pretty quickly into doing the actual thought exercise, where each partnership is going to get one of these printed out. So they just have one. It's not one per child, it's one per pair or three. And so I'm sending them off to work with their partners. They're spreading out across the room. They're spread out all over, and they have one 100 chart between them. And I'm really trying to get them to really have that shared thinking, that what's reflected should be their consensus, which of course is clunky in the beginning, but it's through this practice that they get better at that collaborative knowledge building work. So off they go. They all have this 100 chart, and then I start reading the prompts. And again, I read each prompt 3 times. My pacing is not too quick, but not too slow either. I'm really trying to, project my voice, circulate around the room. Now, a lot of people wonder, well, do you write them down? What if they get lost? That's okay. We're really trying to help learners to build their listening skills and to create that intellectual need to rely on their partner. So one partner might miss it, but then their other partner might have caught it. And so it really reinforces that need to talk with their partner and figure it out together. So again, I'm just circulating around the room. I'm reading each prompt. Each prompt builds. And my coaching in that moment at the very beginning often looks like just kind of making observations and really just pressing them to stay in it and to be okay with getting lost and to just reaffirm, like, it's okay to be lost. Talk to your partner. We've got this. And what happens in the beginning is learners individually will run up to me, wait, I missed that. Can you read it again? And what I'm going to do in that moment is hold on, stay with your partner. And I'm going to really try to stick to that reading it just 3 times so that they're, again, building that stamina and getting more comfortable with really relying on their partner, pressing them to stay with their partner, reminding them I'll read it 3 times. And then I'm going to just circulate. Now, I might be leaning in to do some lean coaching. I don't want to stick too long with a partnership where I make sure they have it all figured out. Instead, I might be kind of doing an assessment at this moment. I'm leaning in and listening. How did they think about it? Or do they have a starting point? I might ask a starting question. If they're completely lost, I might say, well, what's 2? What's 1, 3? And getting them there and then helping them to build. And so I'm going to be kind of just doing that lean kind of questioning where I'm just going to offer them something and then I'm going to kind of back away. The other thing that I'm doing a lot of during this is I'm really thinking about learning behaviors. I'm thinking about setting them up for success, not just today, but forever, and kind of coaching into some of the learning behaviors, the communication, the listening. And so I might go up to a partnership and I might try to coach them to listen to one another and get them to actually hear one another by saying, oh, I heard your partnership say that. Did you hear them say that? Oh, your eyes should be looking at them. They're saying something. Did you catch that? Why don't you say aloud again what you said, and you on your fingers follow along on the 100 chart, and then I'll back away and I'll circulate again. I might find a partner where, they're kind of doing more of a turn taking, where one partner is just doing the work and the other one's just kind of hanging out. And so in that moment, I might turn to the partner who's doing all the work and say, oh, I'm noticing that you're not communicating. Your partner is not even here with you. Let's try that again. And trying to get them to kind of build together and really start to, what I'm lifting up in those moments are the shared community values, which is that we are building knowledge together. We care about each other's learning and that we're reaching consensus. And this is part of that work. The other thing that happens often, especially in the early days with this thought exercise, is learners get completely lost. They're frustrated or the prompts are challenging and they don't really know. And so they'll be like, I'm just totally lost. And I'm going to remind them that's okay, because the beauty of this thought exercise is that it has 2 parts. The work with our partner is actually just one part. And in the early days, I might only have a set of 4 or 5 prompts to begin, and that'll eventually grow over time to be 10 or 12 prompts. But in the beginning, they still get lost and they still have kind of a hard time with that, that discomfort of being, wait, I don't know what's happening. And I want them to become more comfortable with being a little uncomfortable when it comes to learning, that learning is hard work and that it doesn't always feel totally simple and easy. And so then the second part of this thought exercise is the public share. So then what I'm doing as I'm circulating the room is I'm also looking out for partnerships who are communicating effectively, or partnerships who are really really lost, but really giving it, all their effort. And they might have had some pieces figured out, but not all of it. And then I'm going to invite them together. We're going to gather around again at this large 100 chart that's somewhere hanging in my room. And I'm going to ask for a partnership who can volunteer to share their thinking with the community. Now, You might have kids who are just like very eager to do that. But again, through my assessment as I circulated, I'm really thinking about what it is that I want to lift up in that moment. Maybe it is that I want a partnership who has it figured out so that we can solidify some of that math language. Maybe it's a partnership who I'm going to invite somebody who didn't have it figured out, because what I want to lift up in that moment is our value, our shared community value around struggle and around not knowing, and that we work hard and we figure it out together. So, whatever it is, I'm going to kind of have that in my mind, and I'm going to call forth that partnership to share their thinking aloud. The beautiful part about this is that they're growing their communication skills. They're up there at the front of the room leading the kind of conversation. And then the rest of the community is sitting kind of fishbowl style, listening into this partnership share. And I'm sitting with them and doing some metacognitive coaching on what they should be doing, how they should be kind of checking their own knowledge. Do I agree with that? Do I disagree? Do I have a question? I might be kind of whisper talking to somebody next to me. Did you think of it that way too? Did you hear how they thought of that? I'm looking to the partnership at the front, and I'm really trying to get everyone to be like in it together through those conversations. I'm also supporting some of the mathematics. If the partnership sharing is stuck, I might first look to the rest of the community, knowing that there's knowledge in the room. And so perhaps there's somebody who might jump in and support there. Or if it's early days and I'm just really trying to establish that shared language around mathematics, then I might be stepping in at some point to support with questioning and a starting question that will get the group moving. This thought exercise, by having these two parts, it creates this intellectual need. When I'm struggling during my partner time, then I'm curious. I've heard the prompts, or I thought that I had it right, but I'm not totally sure, and I'm coming ready to learn from somebody else. And I say that explicitly. I say, okay, we had a chance to try to figure that out. Let's now come together and now work together to see where we are. And what that's going to do is it builds that community. It's really supporting that mathematical community that's growing knowledge together. Knowing that these authentic challenges in the math classroom are really what creates the opportunity to reinforce and teach community values and learning behaviors. Knowing that I don't have to teach those things outside of the moment. It's right there in the authentic learning moment that I'm teaching how to talk, how to listen, how to communicate effectively with a peer, how to collaborate and truly build knowledge together. That's very different than just this cooperative mindset. I'm going to take a turn. No, you take a turn. This is really truly doing this hard work of building knowledge together. So we have all of this available. We have these 100 charts available on our website. This is a free download. You can print these off. I like to laminate them so that they kind of stay higher, like not torn and ripped all year. And then we also have these large 100 charts available too for purchase. What I love about this thought exercise is we use this same thought exercise with our second through eighth graders. The content grows. So even though the structure stays the same, the content itself can grow and get more complex and interesting. And so we have put together a field guide, a 100 chart field guide that contains several prompts that kind of teaches you how to use the 100 chart. It teaches you how that works in the classroom, but then it also has some prompts that you can use tomorrow in your classroom. So check that out. I'll link that below in our description and let us know how it goes.